Hey, welcome back to the Cash PT Lunch Hour podcast. I'm your host, Aaron LeBauer. Today, you're going to learn why you should not go to CSM if you want to grow your business. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure you click the like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And make sure wherever you're watching this, comment below or screenshot and tag me on Instagram and share your insights and your stories, or share your insights in the comments, questions, etc. Please, if you get anything out of this show or the podcast at all, please rate and review this show wherever you listen to podcasts. That'd be amazing. Okay, this is a show on why you shouldn't go to CSM if you want to grow your business, or you should probably even go to PPS conference if you want to grow your business, and what you should do instead. The short answer is you need to go to PT BizCon. The little bit longer answer is APTA and PPS. They're not providing educational opportunities for people that actually want to build a real world business. They're helping you learn how to shake doctors' hands and read research. Research isn't going to help you treat patients any better. It's just not. I know this one thing. There's no research on cash practice or the manual therapy. Some of the manual therapy techniques we do, I'm sure there's some research on it. Like, I don't really care. You know what? How I know what I'm doing works? I look at my bank account. I can tell you, my bank account is proof enough that the therapy that we're doing works. Patients pay us $250 in cash for a visit, and they keep coming back. Like, I don't need research to tell me. And when you go to CSM, people just want to make them, when they present on research topics, they just want to make themselves look good because they spend a lot of time researching and spending time learning. And they're like, well, I have to show that this is important and I'm important. And they don't do talks that are like, hey, here's the 5 strategies you need to help your patients with back pain right now. Try this technique. Like, they don't do that, which is really ridiculous. If you want to be a better clinician and you want to be up on the research, it's a great place to go. But if you're here in this group and you're listening to this podcast, you want to grow a business and you want to make a real impact in the world and you want to fill your bank account and you want to take your kids to Disneyland, then that's not where you need to be. Look, I went, and I'm going to tell you why. This is the number one reason I went. I didn't even buy the full package session. I just bought the exhibit hall pass. And I even realized, I was offered last month, HyperIce is sponsoring us at PT BizCon, and Eric was like, hey, do you already have your passes? Because I can give you one. I was like, oh, darn, I already spent the $150 to get the exhibit hall pass because I just did it to commit to going. You don't need to go. The only reason you would need to go is if you have an audience like me, Brandon Smith, Jess Jenny. Brandon's from Outside the Box Income Investing. Jess Jenny is Wanderlust PTs. If you, or maybe you lived in San Diego and you want to come hang out, because our audience is there. I teach our Platinum Mastermind members all the time, and I'll get to this in a second. I sent this email out Sunday that our audience is there. And so I'm teaching our Platinum Mastermind members, who have clinics, like, do workshops. They're like, oh, I want to run Facebook ads. Like, no, do workshops. Get in front of the people. Dream 100. Get in front of the people who are going to refer you customers. Well, like, that's what I'm doing at CSM. There's 14,000 suspects there. So suspects are people that are likely going to be customers, but they don't know about you. Then there's prospects. There are people that know about you. There's thousands of prospects there. And then there's prospects or know about you. And then there's leads, people that know about you and have given you their name, phone number, email address. So there's hundreds of my leads there. And then there was a couple dozen customers there, which is dope. I even met a patient there, which is amazing. If I can remember, I'll tell you that story in a minute. But that's why I went to CSM. It's because there's a lot of people there who I can meet and see in person, shake their hand, give them a hug, who have read my stuff, listened to the podcast, listened to this podcast, and will hopefully be a customer someday, And there's people there who probably avoided me, who don't really like what I have to say, who disagree with me, who, maybe were like, oh, I'm not going there. I saw a couple of people I recognized who, didn't really stop to say hi, and that's fine. That's not why I'm there. But what that shows is that everyone who is in my not everyone, a lot of people, 14,000 of the 200,000 physical therapists were there all at one time in 2 days. Like, I got to go if I want to keep growing my business and do what all my competitors are unwilling to do. I didn't see any of my serious competition there. It's totally fine with me, right? Guess who's going to win? The person who's willing to go the extra mile. So let me tell you about CSM and why you shouldn't go next year. And let me tell you what you should do. So basically, all right. Like, I sent out this email, and even Greg Todd was like, Aaron, I thought it was a joke when you said you were going to be at CSM, like, at first. And someone else is like, because I'm no longer an APTA member. It doesn't mean I don't think they're doing some good, or they have the potential to do some good. They're just not doing what I need them to do. And you're probably going to be like, oh, Aaron, you just need to try harder and join the committees and blah, 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 blah. Like some email this woman sent me a few months ago. I've already done that. And you got to understand that I've put in effort to do those things, that when it's not even like I'm not being thanked, it's when the effort's not being reciprocated. You know, I've had 8 presentations turned down from between CSM and PPS. And I want to say that, like, I haven't submitted a proposal in 4 or 5 years, and I still had 8 of them turned down. I had 1 accepted, and then one that I didn't write that I got to participate in when I was a PT student at PPS. I got to speak there, and I thought, well, I've already spoken. I should have a good chance. Like, all 8, I never got any feedback. I finally talked to someone this weekend who was like, Ryan Balms, he was like, I can help you get the feedback. But then it's such a touchy issue. Like, I even fucked up that conversation, but I haven't heard back from her. She was like, oh, contact me next week. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's been years. I mean, can't imagine she knows exactly what happened, or maybe someone still does, because maybe it's the same people still running the show, and that's why it's not changing and getting any better. So here's what you're going to learn if you want to go to CSM. You're going to learn how to be a great employee. You're going to learn all about the research and nothing about how to actually implement your strategies. You're going to still learn how to shake doctors' hands. I mean, they're still talking about marketing to doctors. I mean, I'm a fucking doctor. Like, stop this marketing to doctors thing. You need to market directly to your patients, the customer. Don't market to the middleman, the insurance or physicians. Physicians don't hold the power over you. You hold power over them when you market to your patients. Okay. You're going to learn. I mean, one of the fun things, you'll learn how tall people really are in person. So, I mean, someone for years on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you're going to show up and find out how tall or really short they are. You're going to learn how to trade time for money and staying stuck, making less than 100K per year. I mean, there are people there who don't want you to make more money. They don't want to put information about how PTs can escape the time for money trap and make more than 100K. I introduced Brandon Smith to someone. I said, hey, Brandon helps PTs learn how to make more than 100K and not get taken advantage of by home health companies and travel companies. And they were like, I don't really want to put that on my podcast. And I was like, oh. And Brandon was like, right. Because it doesn't fit with the narrative. Okay. You're going to learn where to go to get a new job, which there are plenty of people there hiring PTs, and plenty of places there hiring PTs that'll reprimand you for getting a patient better in a faster timeline than prescribed plan of care written out by the doctor. Okay. Or we call it JOB, just over broke. Okay. I mean, you'll learn where to go. So the good news is there's plenty of jobs for you if your cash practice or online business doesn't work out the way you want, or you realize that I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm not really built for this. And you're going to learn where to go to get all the research references you can eat. I mean, blah, blah, blah. So that's CSM. I mean, one of the cool things that I did find, I got to go see a bunch of Zero shoes in person, XERO. I got to see the Hokas, but I don't really like Hokas. They're really stiff and thick soles, and I don't think Hokas are really good for people's feet. But I got to go see Zeros, and that was dope. I got to meet Jim, the inventor of the Slack block. I also got the find of the conference was the Gib board, GIBOARD. It's basically like a large wooden skateboard turned upside down with a slack line in the middle and some really dope graphics. I bought one, And then I was like, hey, I'm buying one of these. And Owen Johnson was there. He was on the podcast recently and speaking at PT BizCon. He was like, oh, Aaron, aren't you doing a event? Are you looking for some sponsors? And I was talking to the guy and I was like, yeah, can I just give one? He was like, well, I don't know. It's like 3 weeks away. I was like, well, can I just give one away? He's like, yeah, if you buy one, I'll give you one to give away. And I was like, well, I already bought one. He's like, all right, we'll send you an extra to give away. So we're giving one of these cool things away at PT BizCon just because I think they're dope. And like, I've turned down lots of sponsorship opportunities for the podcast and for the event from products that are just not that cool or just don't solve a problem that I have or you have. So I just need you to know that any product or device or service that I recommend is something that I would use myself. I mean, I've got, not just because I will make some money, because I've had people come and try to throw money at me, and I don't think it's going to solve a problem or it's that good, and I'm not going to put it on the show. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to bring them to my mastermind or anything like that. So that was PT BizCon. The other cool thing is we did a Cash PT social hour, for the 35, 40 people that were there who didn't have a conflict, who knew growing their business was primary to doing something else. That was cool. But I also learned there's about half as many people as the last time. I mean, 2 reasons for that. One, I only sent out 2 emails because I'm promoting PT BizCon, but I think that there's less of our audience going to CSM now than 5 years ago, even though there was 14,000 people there. I think there's a little bit less. Maybe it's because I've grown, I've led you guys in a different direction. Who knows? It doesn't really matter to me, but it was a lot of fun. We had some cool drinks, met some really cool people, and it was awesome. Okay. But that was 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's in the middle of the week. You got to pay for the conference. You got to go to San Diego, and you got to take 3 days off of work. And they're really not doing anything for you to help you make your money back or feel like it's justified. So, I mean, that was my problem for years, trying to go to PPS and CSM. I'm like, well, God, I got to leave on Wednesday to get there, go learn a bunch of things that I don't really care about because I already know how to treat patients, and they're not teaching me real world business and marketing strategies. They're not teaching, maybe they're teaching, what's it called? Ascension. How do you, what the fancy word is, but how do you quit your practice when you're 65 and not work so hard? I mean, these kinds of strategies. I'm like, I don't really want to do that. I want to learn how do I scale multiple locations? I want to learn how do I hire? How do I market directly to patients? How do I get sell cash? I mean, they don't want to hear me talk. How do I sell online courses? They don't want to hear me teach about those things. And so I tried to write a proposal for everything that I thought was missing, and each one of them got turned down. So there you go. So I created PT BizCon back in 2020 to solve this problem. So you have a conference to go to connect with other PTs who are just like you, who are working hard for their dream, just like you're working hard for your dream, who want to make physical therapy a profession and a decision that they made that they don't regret, versus one that you consider quitting to go sell medical device equipment or go into real estate or just do something completely different. So we created PT BizCon. I've got a whole list of things. You can read it below if Laura puts it in there, but you're going to learn real life strategies to attract new patients to your clinic or business. You're going to learn ethical sales and marketing strategies, because we all know physical therapy is the right place for patients struggling with pain, injuries, movement limitations, etc. Like, if you know that physical therapy is right for that person, you need to know exactly how to market and sell to them. You're going to learn how to level up your mindset. You're going to learn how to launch a 6-figure cash practice and make over $200,000 in your first year. You're going to learn how to take your online business from 5K to 30K months in 2 years. You're going to, yes, I said 2 years, but you're going to learn how to do that. I mean, just imagine, some of these things, they're not overnight successes, and you have to be willing to work for it. But if you're willing to work for it, I'm going to share with you how to do it, and our guest speakers are going to share with you how to do these things. You're going to learn how to send one email and make $6,000, or make 40K online in a week. You're going to learn how to close down your insurance practice and reopen it as a cash practice, making even more money, helping even more people, and being able to pick up your kids and take time off to go on maternity leave, etc. You're going to learn how to go from struggling to make ends meet, like end steak, the end of the steak. Oh, nice. My notes just crashed. There we are. And then to make ends meet, to making all the money you want and giving away whatever you'd like, and donate all your money to charities or whatever you want to charities. Like, how do you do that? You go from owning a clinic and moving 2,000 miles away. We've had multiple members in our Platinum Mastermind do this. The latest person is Kyle Womack, who launched it, shut down a couple cash practices, just interviewed him on the podcast, shut down a couple cash practices before he got on a call with Jess, and who enrolls people in our Platinum Mastermind. And she was like, why shut it down? And he's moved to Hawaii and bought a new house. We've had 4 mastermind members buy new houses in the last year and a half in some of the most expensive parts of the country because of the growth and success they've had. So you're going to learn how to have the mindset and leadership skills of an elite Navy SEAL and apply it to your business. You're going to learn how to use the immigrant edge to build a multiple 6, even 7 and 8 figure mindset and business and help hundreds of thousands of people worldwide. You're going to learn how to build a practice in your home, making over $400K per year and still pick up your kids every day from school at 3. You're going to learn how to leverage your PT clinic to pursue your passions like music, comic books, real estate, etc. And you're going to learn how to work for patients, not insurance. And there's a ton more. But is that enough? Right? Look, here's the other thing. And someone said this to me, and I've had multiple messages. This is kind of like, should be in the FAQ, but it's not. Multiple people are like, oh, Aaron, I just can't make it this year. I just don't have the money. Well, look, not having the money is the number one reason you need to be at PT BizCon. And then they're like, oh, well, I just, there's something else that's come up. I'll just come next year. Well, when you just say, I'm just going to come next year, you're lying to yourself because you're never going to do it. Like, you're never going to do it. And there may not be a next year. Look, this is a really hard event to put on. It's expensive. It's going to cost me minimum $60,000. It's $28,000 for the hotel and $34,000 for the AV. It's going to be a dope show. And then I've got thousands in prizes and swag that we're giving away, plus meals and T-shirts. The T-shirt, I don't know what the T-shirt bill is going to be. The bags. We're doing a ton of stuff. And then all the $10,000 in Facebook ads. This could cost me $100,000. At the end of the event, I may have all the clients I want and never need and be like, cool, I don't ever need to do PT BizCon again. Or I may be like, that's such a hassle. I'm not going to do it again next year. I just want to chill and grow my business, in other ways. And you'll miss out and never get to come and never get to join us. And I've told people this and they're like, oh no, Aaron, you can't do that. I'm like, well, I'm serious. Like, I don't know. So if you're like, maybe next year and you're serious about maybe next year, you need to maybe make it right now this year and drop what you're doing. Even if, let's say you're listening to this podcast on Monday and PT BizCon is coming up this Friday. That's enough time to call your 7 patients on Friday and be like, hey, you know what? There's a last minute event I need to go to help make my business better and help even more people just like you. Would it be out of the question to reschedule you for next week or earlier this week? You're giving people more than 48 hours notice, just like you're asking them to give you more than 48 hours notice. So, what's the holdup? Maybe the ticket's a little bit more, maybe ticket's $650 instead of $550. Well, I guarantee you, if you come to PT BizCon or when you come to PT BizCon and you actually implement what you learn, you'll make back that money. It's a no-brainer. I've seen hundreds of people do it, and I've seen many people learn information, spend money, and never do anything about it, and complain that they didn't get their money's worth because they didn't take any action. They didn't implement what they learned. So I know that for everything, every hassle, every excuse you can give me, there's a reason you need to be there, unless you just completely don't want to be in business. If you're like, I don't ever want to be in business for myself, I don't ever want to grow a business, great, then please don't come. Or you're like, hey, I want to grow a business, but I don't want to work really hard for it. I don't want to work on the weekends. I don't want to get up early. Don't come, because you're not going to be successful. I can't help you if you can't help yourself. And so what I'm saying right now is we've got this 2.5 day opportunity for you to get together with hundreds of other PTs just like you and learn actual real world stuff, not like BS that you get at CSM. and join us to grow your business. Okay, so if you're like, oh yes, great, ptbizcon.com, go to it right now, get your ticket. I've just had 3 people get tickets in the last 24 hours. And if you were like, oh, Aaron, I was looking at the tickets earlier and they were a little bit less expensive. Well, you know what? They were less expensive to get you to take action, and clearly that didn't do it. So maybe they weren't expensive enough for you. Because I know this, the more people pay, the more they pay attention. And the people that buy the more expensive tickets are the ones that actually show up. The people that buy the heavily discounted early bird tickets are like, meh, I don't need to show up. It's not, it was only a couple $100. I don't need to be there. So go buy your ticket, and you can email me any excuse. And number one thing I'm going to say is write this down, write down the reason you can't come, and then look at that and say, maybe that's the reason I need to be there. Like the reason, look, if it's your daughter's birthday on that day, bring your family, right? Oh, that's too expensive. Well, then that's the exact reason you need to be there, so that that's not expensive for you, right? Money doesn't make you happy, but money solves problems. Like, we're going to be late to our flight to get to Utah to go powder skiing because if we park in the long-term parking lot in Charlotte, because we had to go from the Greensboro airport to Charlotte, like it'll take 30 minutes to get there by tram or walk, and we'll miss our flight. So we got a $35 a night valet parking right at the terminal. Money solved that problem. We made the flight and got to ski the next day, right? So think about that for a second. Maybe you're listening to this later on and PT BizCon's already happened. Okay, great. What are the opportunities? Well, we've got plenty of opportunities for you to come work together with us in even smaller groups like our Platinum Mastermind. And if you're making, $3,000 to $5,000 a month, or maybe you're just even getting started, but you want to make $100,000, $200,000 in your first year and burn the ships and do everything you can to make it work, the Platinum Mastermind may be the exact right place for you. So all you got to do is go to cashptmastermind.com or shoot me a DM on Instagram with the words all in. Check out all the details and fill out an application. I do know this. I will probably be back at CSM. Maybe not next year, depending on my travel schedule this winter. I've traveled pretty much every weekend. I'm a little exhausted and tired. But I'll definitely be back. It doesn't mean that I think the APTA is doing the right things. It means that that's where my customers are, and that's where people I want to connect with are. You need to go and be around people who you want to connect with, people who are your customers, people who are your peers. Not only do I go to CSM, I belong to 2 masterminds. One we meet in California 3 times a year, and the other we meet on Zoom a lot because Taki is from Australia, but they're meeting in Hawaii this spring. Tokyo this spring, Hawaii this summer, and California in the fall. And I'm going to be in Hawaii and California. Like I said, the Tokyo event, it's 3 days after PT BizCon, and I can't get there early enough and stay long enough to justify going all the way to Tokyo. I can't. My daughter's birthday's in there, PT BizCon's in there, and I can't get on a flight for a day and a half to stay there for 3 days and spend a day and a half on the airplane coming back. I'm not going to do that. Does that make sense? Okay, the last thing I want for you is to take one nugget of wisdom out of this podcast. So if there's any nugget that I can distill down, you're like, oh, you're bashing APTA, I'm never going to PPS. I just need you to know this. Be around the people who you want to work with, not just on Zoom, but in person. Do whatever it takes, whether that's the person down the street and you got to go knock on their door 10 times to get them to answer or find a time when they're available, or it's people across the country or around the world. You need to be at events. And if you have a big enough customer base around the world, you need to create events. That's what we do in our Platinum Mastermind. I create events for these amazing people to come and get together. And people are just telling me, Aaron, there's no one in the group now who was in there before the pandemic when we were last meeting in person, right? There's no one there because it's been 4 years now. Right. Nick Essenplair has been in one of the longest, and he was there. He attended one of the early ones, but it was only on Zoom, something like that. So, and just Jenny, so it was a similar model on Zoom, but that is very different. And so the thing that they love the most at the in-person events are the dinners and the mastermind sessions, where for an hour and a half, we work in small groups with each other. And people are asking me, Aaron, make those longer. Can we do them 2 days? I'm like, I'll totally work on that. But the point is it's the time with other people and the community that's more important than the strategies, and then it's taking action on what you learn. So I need you to learn and understand those two things if you've gotten this far. And if you're somewhat inspired to keep growing your business, hopefully you will, because growing my business is easier now, and helping other people grow businesses is faster than when I started. When I started, no one believed in me. No one said cash practice was possible. And now there's plenty of people talking about it, and there's plenty of opportunity. Even with the upcoming recession, money is exchanging hands. It's just, it's an opportunity for you to go out and get. So go get it. And I'll see you on the next show. I'll see you at PT BizCon in March. This is the Cash PT Lunch Hour. Talk to you soon.